Torek Farhadi. He joins me from Geneva. He's a former advisor to the International Monetary Fund. Great to have you on the program again, Torek. You've worked with a number of large organizations, among them the IMF, as I mentioned. So surely you've seen a lot of politics at play. What does it mean for an organization like the WHO to be caught in the middle of a power play like this between the U.S. and China? Does it affect their credibility overall and how other countries might view it?
Well, thank you. One thing I haven't seen is the President of the United States writing a 4 pages letter to the head of a UN agency, basically, because these kinds of messages can be given by the permanent representative of the United States in this form of a letter to the WHO or any agency. But the fact that President Donald Trump writes the letter and shares it on Twitter, it means that really the audience is the American public. Because in the letter, he says taxpayer dollars will only be used for U.S. interests. So, but the form of the letter is very interesting because a president doesn't write normally a 4 pages letter, president of the United States. And in the letter, there are many interesting things. One is that it says that the WHO has caved into China's pressure. It uses the word failure of the WHO several times over the 4 pages. And it also uses the word you, addressing Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus. So Dr. Tedros has been elected to his position for 5 years in 2017. He has 2 years to complete his term. Giving him 30 days to reform the organization, which is impossible, leaves one choice basically for him. The words that are not used in the letter is, you are fired. In fact, basically, the president of the United States cannot fire the head of a UN agency, but can put this kind of pressure. In the meantime, the WHO has received pledges for funding from other countries since April 17, and it will get by in 2020. But it puts the head of the WHO in a very difficult situation. So there is the forum, which is the letter of 4 pages. There is the audience, which is really the American public,
Right.
As the number of fatalities rise in the United States, and we are in full election cycle. And there is the content of the letter where it really points the finger at the head of the WHO.
Trump has given the WHO 30 days, he says, to make improvements. Given your experience with large organizations that are similar, how would it even be possible for the WHO to meet this type of deadline?
It's almost impossible. It's a business letter, basically, that President Trump would write to his business associates before he was president. You give a 30 days notice to somebody to redress a situation, but UN organizations cannot reform themselves in 30 days. In fact, the UN itself is trying to reform itself since 3 years, and it's a very difficult process. And one of the reasons is that the UN has close to 200 members, and everyone has a voice. So the WHO also has an executive board with 34 members representing countries on a complicated system. And it's impossible during these COVID times for these people to gather and approve any type of reform that's not really formulated. This letter is not proposing the reforms, it's just saying that this is what you have done wrong. On 14th of January, you have said no human-to-human transmission. On February 3rd, you have said travel restrictions would do more harm than good. So there are points here that President Trump has, and they're valid points. Also, a WHO delegation traveled to China late in 2019, I believe, or the very beginning of 2020, and they came back sort of lukewarm on what to do as to advise. They were slow in pronouncing the word pandemic. Let's put it this way.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you so much for some great insight, Torek Farhadi.